politics and government reporter for WFAE, the NPR station in Charlotte. Steve Harrison is with us. Steve, good to see you. Thank you. You just think about the numbers and you think about the devastation. Fair to say that it is impossible for this to not affect the election in one way or the other?
Yeah, I think this is a huge question. I've been wondering myself. I went back and looked. You showed a map of 13 counties that had the most devastation. I did an analysis of about 15, a little bit larger, but basically the same thing. Trump won those counties by 57,000 votes 4 years ago. Like you said, Buncombe County is home to Asheville. That is very liberal. Watauga County is home to Boone and Appalachian State, a lot of college students. But there's so many variables we are going through now with this election. Turnout, I think, in those counties is clearly going to be lower. The question is just how much lower it's going to be. No one knows.
Look, you oftentimes worry about the wrong thing. You said 57,000 votes. That can be the difference of the election in North Carolina. We certainly saw that in 2016 with some of the states that Donald Trump won. The flip side of that is that people can be awfully motivated because they're angry. They're angry about the response. They're angry about how they've been treated. They're angry about the response in relation to how they feel people who come across the border illegally are treated. Are you getting a sense, obviously nationally a huge amount is being made about the anger in North Carolina. Is it being reported on accurately in terms of how angry people are?
I think that's a good question. Clearly, there are people in Western North Carolina who feel like the government has not done enough. They feel isolated. They may not personally be seeing FEMA people on the ground, even though FEMA is nearby. But it's interesting. You've had Republican lawmakers. You've had Senator Tom Tillis, defend the response. The Republican congressman for the area, Chuck Edwards, has defended the efforts. You had a state legislator, Republican state legislator, kind of talking about some of the misinformation coming out, telling people to cut it out. So there are people who are clearly frustrated and feel FEMA has not done enough. And yet you have kind of Republican, higher up Republicans in government who are saying, look, they're doing the best they can.
And to be fair, Tom Tillis then criticized Kamala Harris and said, you're the one politicizing the storm. So it cuts both ways. I got about 30 seconds. As a radio guy, you'll understand what that means. New legislation making it easier to vote in North Carolina, absentee ballot changes, assistant teams, modified early voting hours, modification of election day precincts. Does that materially help, or is this sort of closing the barn doors after the horses are out?
You know, the changes that were made to the election were not significant. I mean, let's talk about voting by mail, for instance. People can now return mail ballots in more places. But of course, if you choose to vote by mail, it's going to be hard. I mean, many places you cannot get your mail ballot.
I was going to say, there's not a lot of mailboxes left.
There's not a lot of mailboxes left. There's not a lot of postal delivery. So, yeah, this is going to be people. I think their best chance to vote will be voting in a lot of times temporary trailers, tents, things like that.
Wow, that'll be something. Steve, thank you very much. We'll check in with you before Election Day. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider, and don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.